Alright, good morning ladies and gentlemen. This video is going to be our perimeter and area teacher-led example. So we're just kind of going to go through this. So first question, nice easy one out of the gate. Again, very similar to what kind of can show up on the regions. This isn't a topic where it's going to show up every year. It's not consistent like that, especially with having already covered so much of perimeter and area. It's more going to be of a problem-solving nature, but want to go through this nonetheless. So we know the diameter is 2 over a, and they want to know what the length of the radius is. Well, we know the relationship between diameter and radius is that the diameter is 2 times the radius. So we need to figure out what the radius is. So it's going to be the diameter over 2. Now, for those of you without a calculator, I just want to show you how easy this is without a calculator. So 2, you'll notice I put that over 1, that 2 over 1, and there's a reason for that. Because how did we learn how to divide fractions? We don't learn to keep the first fraction, change from division to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. And what that allows us to do here is that allows us to cancel out, and we just get 1 over a as our radius, and that is choice A. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So question number 2 says, find the perimeter of a square whose area is 25. So we know the area is 25. Now we're talking about a square, so remember, this is where that quadrilateral unit we finished up last week comes into play. What do we know about a square? We know that every side of a square has the exact same length. That's important. Believe it or not, that is very important. And the reason that that is so important is that the perimeter of a square, right, is going to be to add up all the sides. Now, I don't know what the side length is, but because I know that rectangles, quadrilaterals, squares, right, we've got length times width, I know that each of my sides, let's call it S, I know that the area of my square is going to be side squared. And so what I can do is set S squared equal to 25. Now I'm going to just use simple arithmetic. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I'm going to get S is equal to 5. So now I know that each side is 5 in length. And so now that they're asking me for the perimeter, I could do 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, and I can get 20 as my final answer for number 2. Okay, so again, it just comes down to what do you know about that shape. Let's take a look now at number 3. In the accompanying diagram of triangle ABC, CD and AB are perpendicular. So remember, this symbol here means perpendicular. Okay, so I know that I've got a 90-degree angle there. They've told me that AB is 12y and CD is 8y. They want to know what the area is. So I'm going to start with the fact that I know that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Now you might say, well, why did they give us all this information about it being perpendicular? Well, the only way for us to know that this is the perfect height of the triangle is for that to be a perpendicular angle there. So that's why they gave it to us. So we're going to go ahead and multiply. Area is going to be 1/2. Our base is 12y and our height is 8y. Don't be alarmed here. The variables are just going to multiply the way we've always multiplied variables. So we're going to start with just our numbers. 1/2 times 12 times 8. Okay, so 1/2 times 12 times 8 is going to be 48. And then y times y will multiply next, and that's just going to be y squared. So our area is going to be 48y squared, and that's going to be choice B. Okay, so that does it for number 3. Let's take a look at number 4 now. Okay, the length of a rectangle is 5 radical 2, and the width is 2 radical 3. What is the area? Well, I think we should start with 2 things here. We should start by drawing a rectangle here, and let's label our sides appropriately. So 5 radical 2 and 2 radical 3. We know that the area is length times width. Okay, so we're just really multiplying these two numbers. Now, I want to just show you again because we've talked about this a few different times, but we've never really spent extensive time on it. But when you multiply two radical numbers, right, all you're doing here is multiplying the numbers out in front. So 5 times 2 is 10. And then you're going to multiply the numbers under the radical. So 2 and 3, that's going to give me a 10 radical 6. And our answer is choice A. okay? But again, if that part's confusing to you, you plug this into your calculator, you're going to get a decimal, and you just compare it to what the decimal version of each of the answer choices is. Don't let this part here be the part that gets you, okay? The part that you need to understand is they're asking for the area of a rectangle. Do I know the formula? Do I know what's involved? Right? That's all that it's going to, involve here. So let's move on to number 5. They tell me the area of a triangle is 24 square centimeters. Remember, we talked about area being a two-dimensional measurement, so the area is 24 cm squared. Okay, if the base of the triangle is 8, so the base is 8 centimeters, they want to know the altitude. Now, the altitude, remember how we define altitude. So if we have a triangle, right, we know the base right now is 8, but the altitude is drawn from a 90-degree angle up. For us, that altitude is going to be the height, and right now I don't know what that height is. Okay, so since I don't know what that height is, we're going to have to solve for that. Now, the area formula of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So we're going to get 1/2, okay? The base for us is 8, and then we have an h. Now, that's the part we have to go back in now and fill in, right? We know actually that our area is 24. And we're going to leave our units off here because our units do agree. We've got centimeters and centimeters, so we're good there. So this is going to become 24 is equal to 4h. We're going to divide by 4, okay? And we're going to get h is equal to 6. So we're able to figure out the height is 6 centimeters. On a free response question like this, make sure you include the units, okay? You don't want to be left out with those. All right, ladies and gentlemen, number 6, okay? And again, if you feel like, whoa, going too quick in any way, please remember that this is a video, so you can pause it at any time. You can stop it. You can rewatch parts as many times as you need. And you can definitely use that pause function to be able to copy this down. I have attached a blank version of this worksheet as well, so you can feel free to print that out if you have access to a printer, and you can take a look at that and see how that can help you. So here, this is something that I wanted to throw in as a review. They're finding the perimeter of the triangle formed by connecting the midpoints of the sides of triangle ABC. So what we're going to do is find the midpoint of each side and connect those to form a triangle. Now, if you remember, we said that since this side was 16, that the side parallel to it would have to be 8. And then since this side was 14, this side would have to be 7. Okay, and then since this side was 10, this side would have to be 5. And now we're finding the perimeter P, so that's 8 plus 7 plus 5. Okay, and that gives us a perimeter of 20. They did not give us any units, so it's just 20 here. All right, number 7. Okay, so we've got some numbers here, and they want to know the area of BCDG. Okay, that's the shaded area there. Now, by telling us that these are rectangles, they want us to use the properties of a rectangle, meaning that this is 3, and meaning that that is 2, meaning that this is 4, and this is 5. So with that 2 and that 5 now, we can now find the area of that shaded region, and it's just going to be length times width. But now that we've used the fact that ACDH and BCEF are rectangles, all we have to do here is plug in the 2 and the 5. And so our area is going to be 10. Choice C, and we're on to the next one. Okay, so we've got 3 sides of a triangle. If you read through this problem, the second side of a triangle is 2 more than the first side. The third side is 3 less than the first side. Which expression represents the perimeter of the triangle? You'll notice here they didn't tell us what kind of triangle it is. Now, I'm going to actually start us off here with a let statement. And you may remember let statements from Algebra 1 and from 8th grade and, possibly even 6th and 7th grade. Let statements are great because they allow us to figure out what the relationship is. So we've got the first side, we've got the second side, and we've got the third side. And if you remember anything about let statements, because everything we learn in math, nothing goes away. And if you remember anything about let statements, we want to refer to these in terms of, well, what side of the triangle are they talking about? So they refer to the second side in terms of the first side. They also refer to the third side in terms of the first side. So we're going to let our first side be x. Now, why did I pick x? Well, I noticed that the answer choices all have x's in them. So I think that's a good choice for my variable. Okay, the second side is, remember in math, is means equals. So is 2 more than the first side. So the second side is 2 more than the first side, so x plus 2. The third side is 3 less than the first side. So 3 less than is x minus 3. All right, so we know that is means equals. That allowed us to translate that words into equations. And now we can go find the perimeter. Okay, they asked for the perimeter of the triangle, which just means add up all the sides. So x plus 2 plus x minus 3. And we're just going to combine like terms here. X plus x is going to be 3x. And then 2 and minus 3 is going to be minus 1. So we get 3x minus 1, which is choice C. And that's it. Okay, so that's it for this video. Okay, again, go back, watch it as many times as you need. There are some similar problems, okay, some different shapes, things like that, but similar problems nonetheless that I'd like you to work through. And again, you know, do your best to take a separate sheet of paper, work through it the best you can, and then submit your answers. And we'll be talking about those a little bit more next week. All right, stay safe, and hopefully you like these videos. I appreciate any feedback on these videos. That will definitely help me kind of craft these going forward. So have a great weekend. See you guys on Monday.